Good evening, folks. It is Sunday night at 9:30, so that means that it's time for this week's edition of the Gersnet Weekly Podcast with me, your host, Colin Armstrong, filling in for Ross, who's taking a sickie this week. It is episode 41 of the Gersnet Podcast, and you can join us via the comments on the YouTube. And we would encourage you to subscribe to the podcast and share it on the social medias and all that kind of stuff. The podcast is live tonight, but it can also be streamed and downloaded on a various form of platforms, including Acast, iTunes, YouTube, Castbox, and Stitcher. And we are now available on Spotify. We're properly down with the kids now. While I've got you here, we would also encourage you to vote for us for the British Podcast Awards. We're fairly accepting that we're not going to win it, but if you listen to the podcast and you enjoy it, then we would appreciate your vote. Joining me tonight on the Gersnet Podcast, we've got the gaffer in again. It's Stuart Franklin. How are you, Stuart?
I'm very well, mate. Not too much sun, not too much beer, so ready to go.
Did you have a good Easter Sunday?
It was very good, actually. I must admit, the weather's been fantastic the last couple of days, isn't it? So I'm off work tomorrow as well. So, all nice and refreshed after a good win yesterday as well.
Where did you get up to? Were you just lounging out the back, or did you have some lamb? Were you chasing Easter eggs? What were you up to?
We did have a roast dinner, but it was chicken, wasn't lamb. My wife wouldn't spring to the extra money for the lamb, unfortunately. So we just sat at the back and let us cook away.
Don't be kidding me on here, Stuart. You mean you wouldn't spring to the extra money? That's I've heard that about you. You know, I've heard that you're keen on the money.
Well, maybe you're right, mate.
Aye, I think I'm right. Also joining us tonight is David Fraser. How are you, David? How was your Easter Sunday?
Very well, thanks, Colin. My Easter Sunday was perfectly acceptable. Watching the game, the wee game of tennis with my daughter, so it was pretty good, thanks. Yourself?
Not bad. A wee game of tennis. You like the tennis, aye?
I like tennis. It's just something to do with my 7-year-old daughter. So she was in a bit of a grumpy mood, so it wasn't. It was less enjoyable than what it normally is. But as Stuart says, the sun was out, and watched a bit of Everton, Man U, and then Cardiff, Liverpool after it. So I had a good day.
She's a bit grumpy. I wonder where she gets that from. An absolute mystery.
Wouldn't it be me with it?
You sure? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway, right. Well, we've got a couple of topics to look at tonight. Obviously, the game at Tynecastle yesterday. We'll have a wee look through some of the talking points from the week, including Big Eck was removed from his position as Scotland manager. We'll have a wee discussion about that. Have a wee look at what Dave King was saying through the week. And obviously, there's the issue around the Kilmarnock ticket controversy. We'll have a wee discussion around that, and we'll also have a wee quick squint at the Aberdeen game next week, and is the title race maybe still on after Celtic failed again to win today? I doubt it, but you never know. So on to yesterday, guys. I'll come at you first, Stuart. What did you make of the starting 11 yesterday?
It seemed fair enough to me. I think given the same 11, the chance to go and build on what we'd done in the previous two games seemed the right decision, and I think that was proven to be correct as the game unfolded. Played very well, most of the team, I think. I don't think there was anybody that really had a bad game. So, I was pretty happy and can't complain at all.
Do you think it's good that, obviously there's been a couple of suspensions, and I think Gerrard's been forced to use his squad in some areas of the park. It seems that players are benefiting from that. Would you agree with that?
Aye, well, obviously we've changed our system a wee bit. We're playing a lot more sort of tighter. The guys are playing sort of inside sort of forwards, your Candiases and your Scott Arfield. So, it's worked out quite well. I think we were all pretty worried when we knew Morelos wasn't going to be playing for 4 games, and obviously losing Kent as well takes your goal scoring threat and your creative threat right at the side. So you worry that we might struggle on that front. But to be fair to the manager and his coaching team, and obviously to the players, they've done the business in the last 3 games, and really can't argue with the way the system's worked. I don't know if other teams might get wise to it now, possibly. Obviously, Aberdeen tend to play in a distinct way against us next week, so it'll be interesting to see if this formation works against them, primarily because that's the type of the game that we've struggled in, with teams sitting deep and packing defences. So, it's been good. It's been good to see it. I think the only person that won't be happy is probably Alfredo Morelos.
That's a good point. David, obviously it was a 3-0 win. We've been very successful against Hearts this season, beat them in every game. 3-0 win, yeah, so they're fairly routine. The first goal, Flanagan comes flying in with the tackle. Kamara, a great pass through to Defoe, puts it away. Sort of following on from what Frankie's just said there now, do you think Defoe's adding something different to the team now? I always felt we were a wee bit over-reliant on Morelos, but that's 9 goals in 3 games since Morelos was suspended. And do you think we actually function a wee bit better without him in the side?
Possibly. I could see why people would come to that conclusion. I think you could possibly explain it away with the fact that they've got to be a wee bit more precise in their kind of chance creation, if you like. That might sound a wee bit daft, but where I'm coming from is that Morelos can, he's very adept at being a one-man strike force. Obviously, Jermaine Defoe is a completely different player. That's not to say he can't occupy defenders. Of course he can. But Morelos, he tended to be, the intended recipient of kind of speculative crosses, especially for Daniel Candeias. Whereas in the last couple of games, there's been more point to the passing and the moving. If you take my point, and that there just seems to be more precision about it. There's just something about it. As Stuart was saying there earlier, it just seems to function a bit better. I don't know what it is. I mean, you wouldn't, to the extent would you say, would Morelos get back in the team? And you'd be daft to exclude him for the game. But the performances of late have been really good. And as Stuart rightly mentioned there, when he gets sent off at Parkhead, you're thinking, the next few games are going to be tough without him. But the rest of the players have stepped up to the mark. They've obviously changed the style of play slightly. The midfield 3, even without Ross McCrory and his tenacious tackling in the middle of the park, they've looked apart. Whether that's because they've come up against average teams, that might have something to do with it. But I think you could make a case that we're functioning better as a team with Morelos not in it. But we'll need to wait and see when he becomes available again.
I should highlight that Christine Somerville's added, regular contributor Christine to the pod. She's pointed out that I got the score wrong. It was actually 3-1 yesterday, no 3-0. So thanks for that, Christine. In terms of what you were saying there, though, David, I would agree. I think I was a bit like you and Stuart in terms of when Morelos was out, you started to fear, the next few games are going to be tricky. But, as I said, that's 9 goals in 3 games. We've only conceded 1. And I think having Defoe up front does give us a different way of doing things, as you say. I think when Morelos is in the team, it's just a case of get him the ball, get him involved in battles, get him working, centre halves and a back 4. Can't really do that with Defoe, and the team seemed to have adapted to him being in the team pretty well. And I think it's brought the best out of some other players. That midfield 3, as you pointed out yesterday, I thought they were really, really impressive. Kamara, 50k. He's starting to look like an absolute steal. I was really impressed with Ryan Jack yesterday. Stephen Davis, I thought, again, sort of improved on his sort of earlier performances. So, yeah, I would agree. I think everything in the garden looks fairly rosy at the moment, despite the fact that we're still a few points behind Celtic.
Can I just add something else to that, Colin?
Yeah.
I think Scott. I think the contribution of Scott Arfield playing in what I regard as probably his best position, just off the striker. I think you can't underplay the value that he's had and that kind of change and how successful we've been as a team unit. I think we're definitely seeing the best of Scotty.
I would agree with that. I look at Scott Arfield. This is how I look at players. I always look at them and think, would I like playing with them at my 5-a-sides on a Wednesday night? And Scott Arfield's one of them. I just look at him and think, he'd be somebody you would want in your team. You know what I mean? He's somebody you would enjoy playing with. And since he's maybe getting asked to do a wee bit more now that Morelos isn't there, he's stepped up. You know what I mean? He's absolutely stepped up, no doubt about it. Stuart, the third goal yesterday, it came for Katic. Now, obviously, he's had a bit of a troubled season. He came in and started fairly well. he sort of fell out of the team. Worrell got in the team, I think it was around about the time when we started the Europa Cup run. He's been back in the last 2 or 3 games. Did you think he's looking like he's coming back onto a game? Because I really feared for him at one stage at Ibrox.
I think he's done well. Obviously, I think he's been brought in mainly because Hearts, Motherwell last week, and then Hearts today with Ekpiasa, yesterday back in the team. They're always got to go quite direct. So we use somebody that can deal with that aerial threat, and I think Worrell's decent on the ball, but as much as quite a big unit, he's not that great in the air at all. Actually, neither is Goldson. So I think it was important to get a player in that can be a bit better on that front, and Katic definitely brings you that, and I think he showed that particularly yesterday. I thought it was excellent. Piazza turned on once, and that's the only chance that he had in the whole game. He was Katic was there all the time, and every long ball that Hearts played, Katic won almost. So he was really first class, and I think he still looks a wee bit not completely sharp. If anything, he's maybe carrying just a bit extra weight. Could maybe do with dropping a few pounds or two. Might help with his pace, and he's obviously Katic is not a football player in terms of wanting to pass the ball to defence or all the rest of it. But sometimes a certain half, you just need guys that are willing to clear it, stick it out, start again, reset rather than muck about. I mean, I think we would have asked for that in the Kilmarnock game. We got beat the first game back in 2019, and we might be even sitting better than where we are just now. It's ifs and buts, but there's no doubt Katic. There's a player there, and it's up to the manager to get the best out of him.
David, do you think there's still a sort of, because I did fear from him at one point through the season, he sort of disappeared off the radar altogether. Do you think there's still a possibility of a long-term future for him at Rangers?
I would say so. Well, first and foremost, he's our player. Joe Worrell's in all likelihood going to go back to Forest. May well be sold by Forest. I very much doubt he's going to come back next season. It depends who they get in. Obviously, Gareth McCauley's only, I'm sure I'm right in saying this, only on a 1-year deal, so I would very much doubt his contract will be renewed. So I think they could be in the market for possibly 2 centre-halves. Would that then push Nicola Katic to the head of the queue to partner Connor Goldson? I'm not too sure. There's a lot of, he's still raw, Nicola Katic. But as Stuart was alluding to there, I think he's seen yesterday his natural aggression as a centre-half came to the fore yesterday. He wins balls in the air, which is vitally important in the Scottish Premier League. And I would like to think that he has got a long-term future. Whether he's an automatic first choice pick is really down to him. Stuart said there he's not the greatest of footballers. I think it's fair comment to level that criticism at him. He's not the most naturally comfortable player on the ball, but he's still relatively young, and I like to think that the coaching staff can hone the rougher edges off his game and turn him into a player. He's certainly got the physical attributes to be a good player, and I agree with what Stuart was saying slightly. He's lost that kind of sharpness. At the start of the season, he was pretty rapid. And he dovetailed really well with Connor Goldson at the start of the season. Whether they can regain that synergy that they had together remains to be seen. But I'd like to think that because he's on our books, I wouldn't imagine that he'd be moved on in the summer.
Do you think, surely the fact that he's lost that bit of sharpness, surely that's down to not playing football? I was really surprised the night that he was taken out the side and Worrell came in, because I thought he was playing really, really well at that point. And I wonder if there's an argument to say that part of him looking a wee bit out it was that knocked his confidence a wee bit. And I would like to see him get a run on the side, because I liked what I saw out of Katic at the start of the season. I hear what you're saying, that he's looking a wee bit sluggish at the moment, but I think we have to remember that he's not played a huge amount of football. I've also heard some stories that he's had some off-field issues as well. I've heard a story that there was a bereavement in his family or something like that. So there's maybe other stuff going on in the background as well. But I genuinely think there could be a player in Katic, and one worth pursuing, I think. I'm having had a look at some of the comments here on YouTube. Thanks for joining in, guys. Half Dead Scottish Human said that we seem to score more goals without Morelos, so we should take the money and run. I think he'll be away in the summer anyway, guys. I'm sure we've discussed this before in the pod, and we would agree. I've just looked at the agenda there and realised that I've missed the second goal. I went from the first goal to the third goal, so sorry for that, guys. Ryan Jack in the second goal, Stuart. He sort of made it and scored it himself, didn't he? Won it in the middle of the park, played a lovely 1-2 and slotted it home.
He did. Jack had an excellent game. I mean, obviously, David mentioned the whole midfield three, but I thought Jack was the most impressive of the three. It's interesting the way we're playing just now. The midfield three are really, really fluid in how they're playing. They didn't seem to have any sort of set position, and they seem to interchange quite a lot. I noticed it when we played Hearts the other week there at Ibrox, and it was the same yesterday. And Jack seems to be benefiting from that possibly more than anybody else, because he seems to be able to get a bit further forward, and I don't think he's ever got to be the number 10 that some of us want to see in the squad, but if he can pass the ball neat and tidily in deeper positions, then there's no reason why he can't do it in more forward positions. So I'd hope he'd gain confidence from that, and obviously his goal yesterday came from winning the ball in the middle of the park, but then he was intelligent enough to make a run. He could have stood still, but instead he moved on, and I think earlier in the season he might have not done that, but obviously the goals that he scored recently maybe gave him that extra confidence to say, I can get forward, I can score goals, and he did that. And all credit to Candias. I mean, the amount of times this season would we have seen Candias, or not necessarily just him, but any attacking player actually pass that ball to the left to Defoe, which was a wrong ball because there was three defenders there, but instead we actually picked the right pass. But Jack's finish was sublime. He just passed it home, and it was excellent. And it was a really important goal, the second goal, because as we've done quite a lot this season, I think after we scored, certainly maybe 5 or 10 minutes after we scored, we started to sit back a wee bit. I don't know if it was deliberate, so we could try sort of pick Hearts off on the counter, but the Hearts were coming back into the game at that point. I think Whiting had a chance, it just went just wide, and Piazzu had one that came from a long throw that he put over the bar. He probably should have done a bit better, actually. And then you start to wonder if are we going to concede here, and it would obviously undo our good work earlier in the first half, but unfortunately we got the second goal, and that really sort of, I think it killed Hearts' confidence a wee bit. The third goal was important too, because the Hearts had a decent chance right for the sort of kick-off in the start of the second half. But getting back to Jack, obviously he's had a good season this season. I really like Ryan Jack. I think he's a really good player. I think Scotland must have some good midfielders if Jack can be considered a first pick in the squad. So I'm just hoping for more of the same from him next year.
David, it took him a wee while to get on the score sheet, but since he's done it, it seems to be something he's adding to his game on a regular basis now. I think it's like 1 in every 4 games he's scoring at the moment.
I definitely, I concur wholeheartedly with Stuart's comments. I thought, watching the game yesterday, I thought Ryan Jack was my man of the match. I thought he was excellent in everything he did. I know he possibly gave the ball away a couple of times. I remember one time when he was Candias was on the line and threatening to go forward, and they misplaced a pass, and Candias got caught offside. But other than that, I can't remember Ryan Jack making too many mistakes. You know yourselves, guys, he's if he's not the best player in Scotland at recycling the ball, he's certainly one of them. He'll be in the top 3 midfielders at recycling the ball, and I thought he was tremendous yesterday. He's adding goals to his game. I think the managers obviously realised that other than Scott Arfield, there's not enough of a goal contribution coming from the middle of the park, especially if you're going to pin your hopes on a single striker with that 4-3-3 system that you seem to favour up until fairly recently. That if that player goes off the boil or he gets injured, then where are the other goals going to come from? Ryan Kent's chipped in with a couple, but other than Scott Arfield, there's not been a hell of a lot of goals coming for other parts of the team. So they've obviously been working on that in training. Ryan Jack seems to have taken up the cudgel and said to himself, I'm going to start making things happen. And his goal yesterday, Stuart said, his composure to just slot that into the net was excellent. He's shown that he could do it in the past playing for Aberdeen before he became their captain. But obviously, in his latter time at Pittodrie and in his early days with us, he didn't really seem like much of a goal threat. It didn't even seem as if he was all that comfortable in being having the ball in attacking areas. But he's adding that to his game, and I would like to think that going forward he could possibly maybe chip in with maybe half a dozen to 8 goals a season. That wouldn't be an unrealistic demand on him, I wouldn't think.
No, I would agree with that, especially going by the sort of rate that he's knocking them in at the moment. I wouldn't disagree with that at all. I think it's something he needed to add to his game, and he's certainly, since he got that goal on the 29th of December, it's part of his game that's improving all the time. I don't want to go overboard in terms of the result yesterday, because my own feeling was that Hearts were bang average, and I think we can pretty much say now that if Hearts put in a performance like that in the cup final, then Celtic will have another treble, because they were pretty poor. But that said, I think there were still 2 or 3 performances yesterday that, in the Rangers team, that we merit talking about. Steve Davis is one of them. I must admit, when he first came back, the first few games that I seen him, I kind of thought, oh, it looks like we've made a mistake here. He looks way off the pace. But the last couple of games I've seen him playing, he looks like he's starting to come back to his old self, Stuart.
Aye, he has. He's done well. He's looking a lot sharper. I mean, I think anybody that plays the game or knows the game realises that you have to be playing regularly to play at your best. And clearly, Davis hadn't been playing very much at Southampton. And when we brought him back, I think it was the wrong thing for Gerrard to do, was to stick him straight into the team when we played Kilmarnock that night. Obviously, he wanted to get him fit and sharp as soon as he could, but it was obvious he was well off the pace in that game and most of his games to start with, to be honest. And I think I was the same opinion as you, Colin. I thought, wrong thing to do. We maybe should have went with somebody else and that was a bit younger, a bit fitter. I mean, even somebody like Docherty at the time, you thought maybe it would have been better to bring him back. But to be fair, Davis has got back in the team recently, and I think it's on merit. I think he played well yesterday, as did Kamara as well, and it's good to see it, because Davis is an experienced player. I mean, as much as we'll want to see Rangers sign young guys and the potential to make a bit of money and move them on, you need experience in your team, and somebody like Davis has been there and done it at Rangers. He's won titles, he's lost titles, so it's that type of experience you need to, along with the younger guys, to bring back success. So I for one, I'm pleased. I think for the manager's words, it looks like Davis will be here next season as well. I think it was only a 6-month deal originally, but I don't think Southampton will be hard to deal with. I think he'll probably come to us on a free in the summer, or at least extend his loan deal. So it's good to see him playing well just now, because I think if we can get him back fit and playing at the level that we're used to seeing from him, then he'll be an important player for us next season.
David, we've spoken about him before in the pod, but yet again yesterday, especially that pass that when he put through Defoe, Kamara does. I think he's continuing to impress, and for the 50k we spent on him, seems like a bit of a bargain.
Definitely. He's yesterday was one of his better performances. There was a couple of games there where he went off the boil slightly, as you'd expect. He obviously came into the side, obviously hit reasonable highs. He was dropped for the game at Parkhead, and maybe in hindsight, was that the right thing to do? Don't know. You could, there's pros and cons for that, for both sides of the coin in that one. At 50k, as you've rightly mentioned, Colin, it looks like smart business. That's the type of signings that Rangers should be making, and judging by the guys that they've signed up, that's obviously part of the strategy, to get guys in that are not going to cost the earth, that have got potential, selling potential. And Glenn definitely falls into that category. Can he improve? Undoubtedly. I think he could be more physical. I don't think he's ever going to be an enforcer as such, but he could toughen up a wee bit, and he's going to need to do that if he wants to become a standout Rangers player. But he's certainly got the tools in his locker. I like his balance. I think I've mentioned this before, and we've spoken about him in previous pods. I'm a big one for balance, in terms of, can you go to your left side, can you go to your right side. I'll hark back to Mikel Arteta. I remember one of the first things that stuck out a sore thumb for me when Mikel Arteta came out, which was his balance. It's just that kind of Latino balance. And Kamara's quite similar. You would say is he kind of that's, you could say that's an African trait in many respects. He's I just like him as a player. I think he can get better. His range of passing is good. He's complementing a guy that can pass the ball and has good vision in Stevie Davis, and given a chance, Ryan Jack, he's not lacking in vision either. So I think the three of them they're playing well together. And as Stuart mentioned there at the top of the show, we've obviously got we've got a reasonably hard game next week, and it'll be interesting to see how we cope. And he'd be one of the guys that you're looking to say, right, well, this is one of the games where Glenn's going to, you'd like to think would rise to the occasion and stamp his authority on the game.
Sure, there's one other player I thought played very well yesterday, and he done pretty well last week against Motherwell, 2 weeks ago, sorry, against Motherwell as well. And he's been in and out of the team all year, and that's Flanagan. Now, again, kind of similar to Katic when he first sort of arrived and was playing at left back for a bit. He looked solid, and then he kind of went off the boil, and I just kind of thought, oh no, he's not going to be worth keeping, this boy. But the last 2 or 3 games when he's come in, he's done really, really well, and he slammed into that tackle to win the ball for the first goal yesterday.
I'm pretty pleased with the lad. I must admit, I didn't really want to sign Flanagan. I think personal history made it probably a risk we didn't really need to take. I think we could have had somebody else there or that could have done a similar job. I mean, obviously Halliday's proven this season that he could have done it. Whether or not the fans would have accepted that during the European run, I'm not so sure. Because Flanagan did do well then. I think a lot of fans forget that. I think he had a decent start to his Rangers career. You're right, he did go off the boil. He got a bit slack. He looked like he put a bit of weight on as well. And in his last 2 or 3 games, he just came back into the team. That weight seems to have gone as well. He looked really trim. It seems to have helped him with regards to his pace, for one thing. But he's certainly physical. He slams into tackles and aerial challenges like nobody's business, and sometimes it can be a bit of a risk, as we've found a few times this season with the Scottish referees, and Flanagan found it with obviously the European referees as well, away at UEFA. But I think he's got a lot of strengths and qualities, Flanagan, and obviously the physical aspect of his game's one of those, and we benefited with his tackle yesterday that led to the first goal. Is he worth keeping? I don't know. I think the problem is whenever the ball goes out to him wide left in an attacking sense, it tends to hamstring us a wee bit. In terms of a backup player in the squad, then I think he's as good as anybody else. We gave a lot of credit to Halliday when he came back in the side, and he deserved it. And I think Flanagan does as well, to be honest.
What about you, David? The squad player for Flanagan, worth keeping?
I'd keep him. I'm concur with both your comments. I like my defenders to be defenders first and foremost, and that's obviously what John Flanagan is. I think it's important to bear in mind that the guy's played out of position. Even though he can play as a left back, he's a natural right back. He's obviously been at the game for a long time. Went down to Bolton when he left Liverpool, and obviously, it's well documented the problems that they've had behind the scenes at that club. So, I think he can cut the guy a bit of slack. When he came in at first, I think we've seen the kind of the aggressive side. His game came to the fore, and we were all, quite impressed with it. He then obviously went off the boil. Positionally, he was maybe caught out a couple of times. Then, as Stuart rightly mentioned, he looked as if he'd maybe put on a bit of weight, or he didn't look as if he was losing weight. That could be a hangover for the amount of time that he's had at the game, and maybe you're now seeing that he's the kind of match sharpness, that kind of physical baseline that a player would need. He's actually achieving that. I could be wide of the mark with saying that, though. Maybe it could be a case of he's maybe knuckled down and went, well, I'm not going to be here much longer if I don't get myself on the side and start looking the business. that could be part of it. But as a backup player, aye, definitely. I rate John Flanagan. I think as a defender, he's good. I think you've seen in the last couple of games how high up the park is. There's times when Rangers are on the ball, when they've got the ball in their own half in between the 18-yard box and the centre circle, and John Flanagan's not in the picture. That shows you how high up the pitch is, and that's obviously down to the tactics that are employed with the manager. And is it fair to judge a guy that's played at a position in a system like that? Possibly, but to answer your question, I would keep him as a squad player. He's worth sticking with. I think that the money that he's costing and how much it would cost to replace somebody, I don't see anybody, certainly in Scottish terms, I don't see anybody as a defender, a right back or a left back to be worth signing. And by all accounts, there's no guys coming through for the youth setup that are necessarily going to put pressure on his place as a squad player, a first team squad player. So I would keep him.
I think, sorry, cut across you, Colin, but I think left back's going to be an important position for us next season. Obviously, just now we've got Barisic, we've got Halliday, we've got Wallace, and we've got Flanagan. So the four of them, all there sort of competing for that position. It's no beyond the realms of possibility that at least two of them could be away in the summer. And Barisic and Wallace, obviously, leaving us with Halliday and Flanagan. And I doubt any of us would, as much as these guys have done quite well recently, I doubt any of us would really want to have them as our first choice left back going into a new season. As backup players and utility players, aye, definitely. But I think it's the signing of Barisic has been a bit of a letdown, and it's difficult to see if he's going to be here next season or not. I mean, he wasn't even in the squad yesterday, and neither was Gersnet. It looks like he's on his way as well. So it's a bit of a shame, but that's all the more reason to give Flanagan a bit of credit. I mean, I've seen guys on Twitter slagging him off yesterday, and that's fine. He's definitely a Marmite sort of player, but he's came in the last 3 games, he's looked fit, he's obviously been keeping himself fit and working hard in training for the manager to trust him to get back in the side, and when he's came back in, he's done the business, and I think that's all we can ask of players, really, to be honest.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I understand why some people were giving him a bit of stick earlier on in the season because his performance levels did drop, but I think since he's been asked to do a job over the last few weeks, he's come in and done it very, very well. And part of me wonders if Tav does go in the summer, because he's a name that's been touted for a sort of move down south. That would he provide a sort of instant solution to that problem at right back, even just for one season or whatever? I don't know, because I think, like what David said there, I think first and foremost he defends. You know what I mean? Not very much gets past him. His distribution can be a bit ropey at times. But overall, I think he would be certainly at left back worth keeping in terms of a backup. And if Tav goes, then you've got that option at right back as well. Anyway, right, I think we've covered the game, so maybe time to move on to a couple of other topics that we're going to look at. There was one or two things that happened through the week. Sure, I'll come to you first. Obviously, Alex McLeish removed from his position as Scottish international manager this week. I don't know how you feel about this. The minute I heard, I sort of had a wee browse on social media and saw some of the comments, and there's a lot of people celebrating the fact that he'd been sacked. You know what I mean? Now, it might just be me, but I've felt for a while now that the whole relationship between Rangers and SFA and Scotland and all the rest of it, and the treatment of some of our players, getting booed by the Tartan Army and all the rest of it, I kind of felt for the beginning, because the minute he was appointed, you just saw loads of comments, Big guy like the cheat, EBTs, all this kind of thing. I think Big Ek was wanting to hiding to nothing with this job, and it kind of feels to me like he's been hung out to dry on this. How do you feel about it?
I think you've summed up that pretty well. I mean, to be honest, I don't think he was ever the right choice. Anyway, I thought it was a lazy choice, obviously a cheap choice. Understandable to a degree, I suppose so. I mean, he's got good experience. He did pretty well with the national team in his first spell, but he was never the right guy, I don't think, and he was never going to appease a lot of people in the Tartan Army and beyond, and in the media, that nowadays any sort of link whatsoever to Rangers is seen as toxic, and that explains why our fans of sort of taking there's a lack of interest in what happens with Scotland, and it's a shame because when I was a lad, Scotland were important to me. I used to like watching them as much as anything else, and World Cups and what have you. And now we don't have that, and it is a pity. And it's even worse when guys like Ryan Jack we mentioned earlier, who when they do get picked for Scotland, they get booed and given the treatment by daft guys in the crowd as well. And I think the same thing's happened here. I think obviously McLeish is the easy option to go after as a scapegoat after what happened to the team in Kazakhstan, and fair enough, the manager has to take his fair share of the blame for that. I think so do the players. I mean, and you didn't really see any of them getting criticised.
The ones that bother to turn up, because that's something that's something that happened under McLeish. There was a huge rise in people not turning up for squads.
So why is that? I mean, is it because is it the teams that encourage that? The clubs put pressure on the players themselves. I mean, the problem you've got now, Colin, is it's different for the 1970s and 1980s, and when Scotland were qualifying for things. Players now, the Bosman rule and all the rest of it, they're a big commodity, and the money they earn is huge money. I mean, you're talking 20, 30 grand for some of the guys that'll be in the Scottish League, and then obviously if they're playing down south, they'll be even bigger cash. So it doesn't surprise me that clubs might put a bit of pressure onto the players and say, listen, if you've any sort of injury at all, or obviously the Kazakhstan game was played on a 4G pitch right away. That there were 2 or 3 players that were asked not to play in that. So this is a problem you've got now. It's goodwill for players to turn up and put in a good performance. And I guess this is where actually the manager needs to earn his corn. He needs to be able to motivate his players, and needs to be able to have a good relationship with guys at the bigger clubs to say, hold on, you need to come and play for Scotland and do the same, put in the same application you would do if you were playing for Celtic or anybody else. So it's, as I say, it's a bit of a shame we were in international football, but I must admit, it doesn't really pique my interest that much either. I guess if there was more Rangers players in the team, I'd probably be a lot more interested. But that seems to be, I think, McLeish, as I said earlier, is another example of a toxic relationship between Rangers and the SFA and Scottish football, to be honest.
David, how did you view the whole Big Ek thing? Do you think his former employers had a bearing on the sort of, the way it was received by the wider sort of Scottish footballing community? It seemed to me like they were taking a bit of joy out of
it. I think that the initial stuff that was in the media and the immediate aftermath of the reverse against Kazakhstan was pretty distasteful. Obviously, the rumours floating about his health, about team talks and what have you, I thought it was pretty bad. Ian Maxwell at the SFA could have come out and nipped that in the bud right away, but obviously chose not to, for reasons known only to himself and others behind closed doors. Was he hung out to dry? Quite possibly, quite probably in many respects. I mean, don't forget, he fulfilled part of his remit by getting given the national team an option to qualify for the European Championships through the Nations League. So that seems to have all been forgotten a bit, and it seems that he's lost his job on the back of one poor result on, as Stuart says there, an artificial surface against players that with this kind of arrogant mindset that we've got as Scots these days when it comes to football. We can't really back up that we should be beating teams like Kazakhstan, who in recent times when it comes to the Champions League group stage qualification, these qualifier matches, FC Astana, a decent team with decent financial backing. You can't dismiss sides, to the same extent as Scotland maybe, could rightfully do so maybe 25, 30 years ago. Those days are gone. But Alec, did he need to take the job? That's debatable. Obviously, wants to work in football. He's maybe get bills to pay. I don't know. But you look at some of the distasteful stuff. Michael Stewart talking about he the fans didn't fancy him because he had an EBT. I mean, for somebody to come out with that, it's poor show. And the fact that guys like ourselves are maybe, drawing the conclusions that anything to do with a Rangers connection is unpalatable to the Scottish football public, stuff like that's only going to ramp that mindset up. And on the flip side of that, you've got Rangers fans who maybe would be, want to go to Hampden, support Scotland in the pub, or at home watch them in games. There's only going to harden attitudes towards, disliking that side of Scottish football. So,
I'm certainly one of those. I mean, I was never a big follower of Scotland in terms of going to the games. I think I've only been to one or two games down the years, but certainly whenever Scotland played, especially in big games, you would always head to the pub with your mates and really enjoy it. That sort of thing just does not interest me now. I would happily sit and watch Scotland at rugby, but in terms of watching the football side, it's gone because I've just seen so much, negativity from that sort of, especially the Tartan Army, when it comes to Rangers. I just think, no, I think of the players like Lee Wallace, even I don't like him, but Ian Black got it as well. Ryan Jack's got it recently. And then the minute McGregor announced he was retiring, I saw a few things on social media about him as well. You just get sick of it. If you don't feel part of it, why would you want to get involved in it?
No, you're spot on. You're spot on. Why would you want to? Why would you want to be part of that? It's a difficult one, Colin. You could spend a whole show talking about that, about the relationship the Rangers have got with the SFA and Scottish football at large. To get back to your original question, I like McLeish. But was it the tenuous Rangers link that it was almost a poison chalice for him? Quite probably. There's just a dislike for Rangers throughout Scottish football. It's ramped up in certain corners of the media by certain protagonists, and they appeal to the lowest common denominator, and it's sad. And you see, in an ideal world, I know we don't live in one, but in an ideal world, you would have a 50-50 representation for the old firm clubs, being the natural two biggest sides in Scotland, and the Rangers are sadly lacking there. And see, Ryan Jack's a classic case in point. I mean, I think Stevie Gerrard came out and said, how he's not getting more Scotland caps as a mystery to him. I mean, he's quite right in pointing that out. I mean, Ryan Jack should be picking up more caps than he has been, and he certainly didn't deserve to be booed, by fans of other clubs that maybe are attending games at Pittodrie or Easter Road, and it just put you off going to watch Scotland, to be quite honest with you.
Well, it does. It does. Sure. Another thing that came on through the week was, obviously it's renewal time. The emails come out to the renew season tickets. I got mine through for me and my boy. Dave King sort of came out with a few comments to sort of promote the season tickets, and that seemed to attract some criticism. Especially, he made a comment around dominating Scottish football. How did you see that? I thought it was a bit of a stushy about nothing myself, but yourself?
I think it just goes back to what we're just saying. It's anything related to Rangers is seen as fair game by commentators in Scotland. They have to be negative or extract the proverbial, And King's, I think I'm never overly excited when I hear that Dave King's released some sort of statement or the rest of it. I think he tends to be a bit verbose, and I think he tends to say the wrong thing too often for me. I think it's been a problem at Rangers ever since David Murray was in charge, to be honest. I don't know if how much of the PR side of things is inputs towards that, but I think his comments probably they're a bit overly optimistic. I think it's probably the right thing to say. However, he's got a job to do, and that's to sell season tickets. I mean, this year I think, what was it, 46,000 was sold, something like that, which is an incredible number. So he needs to try and keep that is high again. I mean, apparently we've got a waiting list of 13,000, which is incredible. That doesn't account for any sort of wastage. I mean, I imagine there'll be a lot of people might not renew next season. That's fine. The price seems to have went up again. I mean, it's about 5% across the board. it's a lot of money. I mean, my season ticket, I win the Broom loan, and it's going to be £485. It's a lot of cash, especially there's. I think the finance thing isn't available at the moment.
Yeah, that's fell by the wayside.
Yeah, I'm fortunate enough to be able to pay off in a winner. I've renewed already for next season, which is great. I can't wait. But for a lot of people, it's £500 this time of year. It is a lot of cash, and so it's King's jobs to be positive. Rangers fans on the daft. We didn't button up the back. A lot of people might try and suggest we do with what happened with Craig White and Charles Green, but I think we're sensible enough and optimistic enough that we can see improvement this season, and we're looking forward to see that even more next season to put up a challenge against Celtic. Are we in tangible reach of dominating Scottish football? I don't think that's true. I think it's a bit, as I say, overly optimistic, but at the same, it's not hardly a big deal either to claim that, you know.
David, there was another wee thing this week that I thought was worthy of talking about. Kilmarnock announced that they're cutting our ticket allocation for the final game of the season. And normally we get the 2 stands behind each goal. We're only getting 1 this time. Kilmarnock are saying it's because they're celebrating their 150th anniversary. It could be Stevie Clarke's last game before he goes to Celtic. You heard it here first, and all these other sort of reasons. Now, I get the argument, and I do, that it's down to the home club. If they want to cut your allocation, then that's down to them, and as the away club, you just need to accept that. But is there a little bit of this? I mean, this has happened with Hibs. They've cut our allocation. I noticed today at the Celtic game, the Celtic fans had that full allocation behind that goal. So I think sometimes clubs are guilty switching it on and switching it off again whenever it suits them in terms of, we'll give you 8,000 tickets, but this time we're only going to give you 4,000. But the next time we'll maybe give you 6,000. Does it feel to you like, they're kind of taking the piss out of, supporters that are trying to get to the games?
I think there's an element of that, Colin. As you've said there, Billy Bowie and Kilmarnock are perfectly entitled to allocate as few tickets as the league rules permit. They're entitled to do that. Obviously, we've normally get both the Chadwick stand and the Moffat stand at Rugby Park. That's 8,000 an allocation. And that still leaves another 10,000 seats for Kilmarnock to sell. And, more often than not, they don't get anywhere near selling those 10,000 briefs. And if they manage to pack out Rugby Park with 14,000 fans, I'll eat my hat. I don't care what they're celebrating. I think they could be an amnesty between themselves and Ayr United and try and get Ayr United's hardcore support along to fill the park, and they struggle to do that. Are they taking the mickey? There'll be an element of that. There'll be an element of that. They've got there's an element to their support that they, as a club management or executive, they've got to pander to. They're in the business of selling season tickets as well. Has their core support risen in the last couple of years? Not to any great extent. I mean, you think that when Stevie Clarke came into the job at Kilmarnock, they were lying at the foot of the table. And then inside that season, he's got them into the top half of the table. I think they were fifth in the league. Am I right in saying that? This season, they were at the top of the table for a few weeks during the season. They've obviously been in third up until yesterday when they came on start against Aberdeen. And when you think that Kilmarnock probably playing the best football that they've played for the last 20 years, you would expect the crowds to go up. The only time I can remember a sizable crowd turning up at Rugby Park was when I think Jimmy Calderwood was the manager, and it was the final game of the season, and they had to win to avoid either the playoff or automatic relegation. I think they got about 10 or 11,000. So still, just some way short of capacity. Are they going to do that again in the final game of the season? I doubt it. And are they Are they deliberately taking advantage of Rangers supporters when it suits them? Aye, I would say that they're not the only club that's guilty of that.
And that's how it looks to me. Look, but I mean, given that the game's still 3-4 weeks away, I think there's every chance that they will get an increased support for that game. If it is Steve Clarke's last game, and obviously they've got the 150-year celebrations thing, but are they going to get that next season against us and the season after that? And it's this turning the tap on and off when it suits them. So when they think, oh, we're not going to get that big a crowd, we'll just give them back that stand behind the goal again. It's that arrogance, it's that expectation that we can just turn this back on and these guys will turn up. It's that sort of infuriates me with this whole thing. I get it's within their right, and I appreciate that and I respect that. It's up to them how many tickets they're prepared to give us, as long as you pointed out, David, it meets the minimum criteria the competition. But this turning on and off again kind of pisses me off a wee bit, I must admit. I don't go to a huge amount of away games. I'd go to all my home games and maybe do a couple of away games a season, so it doesn't have a huge impact on me. But for boys that go all the time, I could understand why they would be thoroughly sort of peeved off at that situation. Moving on again, guys, I think, conscious of time, we're into the sort of last 10 minutes of the show, so I thought we'd have a quick squint at the Aberdeen game next Sunday. And obviously Celtic play on the Saturday there at home to Kilmarnock. Of all teams, we've just been talking about them. Rangers are currently 8 points clear of Aberdeen at the moment. Surely, Stuart, this is a big opportunity to secure second place. That would be the first time we've done it since we returned to the top flight.
I think we need to go and win on Sunday. I don't think there's any excuse. I think we're at home. We've got a few things to prove against Aberdeen. Obviously, we'll still be missing Morelos, and I'm not sure if Kent's back or not, but I think we're playing well enough that we don't need either of them. In fact, not having Morelos might sort of focus the mind somewhat, rather than it being all about him and any sort of battle up against McKenna or whoever else is playing for second half for Aberdeen this weekend. It's we can spread the load across the rest of the team and hopefully break Aberdeen down, avoid giving away cheap goals. I mean, obviously in the cup game at Ibrox, Kamara probably made his only real bad mistake since he has arrived with giving away Aberdeen a goal in the first 5 minutes or so with a silly square pass. If we can avoid doing that, avoid giving away unnecessary set pieces, I think we're guilty, actually a wee bit guilty of that yesterday at Tynecastle. We gave away a few silly fouls. Remember, Tav gave one away just right in the stroke of half time, which was a bit naive. And obviously Hearts threatened the same Aberdeen as the big men up front. So I think it'll be the same again in terms of the team. Katic will play again to deal with Cosgrove, and it'll be up to us to win the midfield battle and also create at the same time. So I think we'll see the same three. It'll be Jack, Kamara and Davis. I guess McCrory might possibly make the team instead of perhaps Davis, but I doubt it. I think it'd be daft to change the side, and I'm kind of hoping that we put Aberdeen to the sword, to be honest, on Sunday.
David, our record against us, even especially in Glasgow, it's been really poor. Obviously, we got a good win up in Pittodrie around about February time, and Defoe came on and scored and secured the win. But in Glasgow, they're beating us at Ibrox, obviously beat us in the semi-final at Hampden. Why have we struggled so much against this team? Because they're a fairly bog standard side.
Difficult to put your finger on it. I think it's fair to say that the inflexibility of the 4-3-3 system with the manager could possibly account for certainly the defeat in December, the 1-0 defeat in December. Having said that, Aberdeen, they seem to go from Graham Murty quite easily outfoxed Derek McInnes last season, and then it's almost been the polar opposite this season, where it looks like that Derek McInnes is tactically schooled Steven Gerrard in the games that we've came up against them, with obviously the exception of the one at Pittodrie. I just think that Rangers have found it difficult to break them down. They're a stuffy team, they're a physical team. I think Lewis Ferguson, as limited as he is in certain respects, he's played a big part in them causing Rangers problems. It'll be interesting to see how they come to grips with Aberdeen next Sunday, especially in light of Mr. Morelos not being eligible to play. I don't know. It's difficult to put my finger on it, Colin. I just think that they seem to be the League Cup semi-final seem to kind of knock the collective confidence a wee bit, especially at stage in the season. And I think that they got into their minds a wee bit, thinking, well, Aberdeen have managed to kind of soak up what we suspected to be the kind of Rangers' strongest part of their game in, and that they would have the vast majority of possession. They'd create chances, and the game at Hampden obviously didn't create much other than maybe Umar Sadiq going through the centre and that kind of late penalty claim.
The dive, you mean?
Well,
the keeper. Oh, that was a shock.
Okay, well, all right. Maybe that an incorrect choice of words there. But I don't know. It's a difficult one. Without been going on and been long-winded anymore than I normally am. It's a hard one to pinpoint, Colin.
Stuart, David sort of mentioned there that the Rangers system has maybe played into Aberdeen's hands a wee bit, the 4-3-3, and been so dependent on Morelos, and Aberdeen did target him. There's no doubt about it. As you say, especially McKenna. With him being out on this occasion, does that change the sort of the game in any way?
I think it does. It possibly makes it less physical than it normally would be. I mean, I mentioned earlier that obviously Morelos and McKenna would have some good battles earlier this season. That you'll not have that this weekend, obviously. So it'll be a game we'll be looking to try and play through the centre, and I think that plays to our strengths with Defoe. Arfield's on form. I think Kent is back. I think he only had a 2-game suspension, didn't he? So he'll be back for Sunday. So it's up to the manager whether or not he plays him or sticks with Candias. I think, as I say, so that keeps us more central, and it plays to our strengths, and also away from Aberdeen's strength. I mean, I quite like Max Flow at left back. I think he's done a good job for Aberdeen. And Dominic Ball, I think, played right back the last time we played them, and he had a good game as well. So if we're able to avoid them, then maybe it'll help us create a few more chances. It's going to be interesting because I can't see Aberdeen being overly open. I think, as I say, they'll try and keep it tight as per usual. They did the same against Kilmarnock yesterday at Rugby Park. They'll be looking to sort of try and create any chances for set pieces and on the counter. So I think it'll be pretty similar to the other games that we've played against them this season. The one at Hampden, the 1-0 game at Ibrox, where we dominated the game and just didn't really create enough. So it's up to us to change that, make sure we still dominate it, but create more chances and take our chances, and obviously avoid mistakes that's cost us goals against Aberdeen this season that we shouldn't have conceded.
Right, guys, final question of the night. I'll put it out to the two E's. Celtic drop points again today. Obviously, they're up against Kilmarnock next week. If they drop points again and we beat Aberdeen, is the title race back on? David?
Nah, I don't think so. I think you'd be foolish to, even the wildest optimist in the world would be foolish to say it would be back on. Assuming we win and they drop 2 points, possibly 3, I'd be down to 7 or 6. Given that Kilmarnock have got a few suspensions to serve for next week that'll kick in, I think it would be wild optimism to say that the race would be back on. But saying the things have happened, I sincerely hope that I'm wrong in saying that, Colin, for obvious reasons.
What about you, Stuart?
Yeah, I think they were right, unfortunately. Because we had the anyone but Celtic campaign kick in yesterday with Stephen McLean refereeing that game at Rugby Park. Obviously, Kilmarnock are without their 2 first-choice centre-halves for next weekend. Right enough, Broadfoot's appealing his, and he might well feature, I suppose. But no, I can't see anything else in a Celtic win next weekend Celtic Park, unfortunately. You never know. So I think if I had big Marvin Andrews on the phone, he'd say, keep believing.
Keep believing.
Yeah. Fair enough.
That's what he said to me last week at that dinner. Keep believing. Anyway, conscious of time there, guys. I think that's it for another week. So thanks for joining us on this week's Gersnet Weekly Podcast. A big thanks to Stuart and David for their comments. Excellent stuff as always. We've also got the home game next week against Aberdeen, so there'll be a show out at the same time next week at 9:30 on YouTube next week. Need to take time to give a wee mention to Stephen Clifford and the four lads. They've released a new podcast. It's now available, so we'd encourage you to go and listen to that. He's speaking to Andrew Little, who obviously used to play for the club, and Chris Jack from the Evening Times. So get yourselves onto that. Quality stuff from Stephen. Also get on the Gersnet forums at www.gersnet.co.uk. Get yourself onto Gersnet, read all the articles, get on the forums, talk to fellow Bears. It's great stuff. And until next week, bye for now.